Happy Masters Thursday. Welcome to Bet, where this guy, Tyler Fulghum, and this guy, Joe Fortenbaugh, promised not to hit you with an errant tee shot like Rory McIlroy did to his old man earlier today.
Well, yeah, I don't think my old man's watching right now, so he's safe. Not sure about Papa Fortenbaugh, but dads watch out, apparently, around the grounds of Augusta National.
Big, diverse show in store for you today. We're going to play a little game called More or Less with new quarterbacks on new teams and how many wins that team will have. Very convoluted explanation right there. We'll get to the details later in the show. NBA Pick'em Thursday Night Spectacular, that's coming up as well. And the good word, because it's Thursday. YouTube is the place to go if you want more sports betting content, courtesy of your favorite personalities here at ESPN. YouTube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. How about a little Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
1 week. It's been a week already.
Been a week in the bigs.
1 week. 1 week. So let's do a
fun week for certain fan bases. Not so fun for others.
Absolutely. And that's where we start with your biggest surprise 1 week in, Mr. Fulghum.
Yeah, a team that my squad opened up with in Cincinnati, the Reds. They're 5-1.
Woo.
Joe Fortenbaugh, and they have by far the best offense in Major League Baseball through the first week of the season. Plus 24 run differential is best in the National League. They lost Trevor Bauer from their starting rotation. And then Luis Castillo got banged around in his opening day start against the Cardinals, but they've done nothing but win since that time. Their pitching staff has the third lowest batting average allowed, the fourth lowest whip, basically base runners allowed per inning, and the 12th lowest ERA, and they've done that playing in that small bandbox, Great American Ballpark. So you combine that with the fact that their offense is basically first or second in every major statistical category. The Cincinnati Reds, who Nick Castellanos, Amir Garrett said, we want people to realize we're going to be brash. We are going to flex on you. We're going to bat flip, and we are going to have fun doing it. He did it. They did it to my Cardinals, and you know what? I love it. You're supposed to let the kids play, right? That's the mantra in baseball these days. Let them play. And if you're 5-1 and tearing the cover off the baseball, bat flip, flex, do whatever, because right now the Reds look very good.
How did Castellanos get suspended for 2 games for just kind of mocking somebody? Like, ease up, maybe.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
How the answer to this question is anything other than the Baltimore Orioles is beyond me.
Okay.
4-2 so far this season. Now, if you had said, hey, Joe Fortenbaugh, I'm going to give you 2 options. This year, either the Orioles win 4 games total or they win 4 games in their opening 6. What are you taking? I would have said 4 games total because this team was supposed to stink. Their season win total is 63.5. They're 4-2. They swept the Boston Red Sox to open the season. They took 1 from the Yankees.
Yep.
John Means has been fantastic. 2 starts so far. 1 earned run in 11 innings pitched. Matt Harvey gave him a decent start the other night. Cedric Mullins, the center fielder, I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
He's hitting .480, second best in Major League Baseball. It's a surprise, but it's also a disappointment because I have an extraordinary amount of money on the under for the win total. So back up, Baltimore. Back up.
Should we call Doug Kazarian, our buddy on Daily Wager, and
he's just as irate.
I tell you, 4-2.
So is the Bear too. There was a whole text message thread the other day. This is becoming too much. All right, that's the biggest surprise. Right. Who's the biggest disappointment after 1 week?
Maybe you can add to this because it's a team you're familiar with, having covered them for many years in the Bay Area, the Oakland A's.
Brutal.
Never going to have a high payroll, but they've been competitive the last few years because of the roster they have put together. They're 1-6 to start the season with a minus 37 run differential.
Woo.
Minus 37 in just 7 games. They're getting beat by an average of 5+ runs per game. That's worse than Major League Baseball. They started the season with 6 straight losses. Their offense ranks 27th or worse in Major League Baseball and just about every major statistical category. And their pitching staff ranks dead last, 30th in about every major statistical category. We're used to seeing them somehow cobble together good starting rotations, sometimes dominant bullpens, despite their limitations with the payroll, so to speak. But right now, it's just a terrible start. 1 win in 7 games, and they started 0-6, and they have just looked terrible. I didn't think they'd be, a real World Series contender, but I thought they'd be a team that finishes with 85, 88 wins and flirts with a wild card.
They've been embarrassing themselves. Houston came in and shellacked them to open the season. Houston, of all teams, you can't let that happen. I agree with you. I think they're one of the biggest disappointments. I'm also going to throw the Atlanta Braves in there as well. Braves opened the season. Let's go back a little bit in history. They were up 3-1 on the Dodgers in the NLCS. They were this close to going to the World Series. Then Freddie Freeman's wife decides to tweet about going to the World Series, and yeah, the Dodgers kind of came back and
stings the
gave it to you. So here we go. You've been swept by my Philadelphia Phillies to open the season. I shed no tears for you. Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and John Smoltz. Entire decade of that. 2-4 following that 3-game sweep. Max Fried has an ERA of 9. Charlie Morton's ERA is over 5. Who leads the team in home run? It's a tie. Acuna's there. Who's the other guy?
I think it's Pablo Sandoval.
Pablo Sandoval. Did you even know he was playing for them?
Did not.
He has 4 at-bats, 2 home runs.
Yeah.
He's tied with Acuna. So, yeah, the Braves. Huge disappointment.
Yeah,
but you know what? I like that. See, I don't like that the Orioles are my biggest surprise. I kind of like that the Braves are my biggest disappointment.
How do you feel?
Very confusing.
What do you say to all your homies and homegirls in the Bay Area, those A's fans? You were rocking an A's jersey for opening day.
A's fans are great people, and they deserve better, and they know it. I'm surprised they don't jump ship to San Francisco. I know everyone thinks that's the worst thing you can say.
The Giants aren't much better right now.
A's fans, you deserve better. Your ownership group lets you down every single year. Let's keep it moving. Little game today called More or Less. We have several NFL teams that will begin the 2021 campaign with a new quarterback, all right? Will the following 6 teams have more or less wins in 2021 than they had in 2020? I'm sure you can figure this out.
I'm pretty, I think, on point with what I'm supposed to do here, but I have screwed things up before.
All right. Team number 1 is the Carolina Panthers. They acquired Sam Darnold from the New York Jets on Monday in exchange for a 6th-round pick this year and a 2nd-round pick and a 4th-round pick next year. More or less than 5 wins?
More. Keep in mind we have a 17th game, so there's an extra game for teams to win this year, more games, but I think this is at least a 6-win team. I think close to a 500 team, 8-9 wins this season. Christian McCaffrey back, hopefully healthy for the entire season.
Only played 3 games
Sam Darnold. Exactly, only played 3 games. Joe Brady turned Joe Burrow into someone we didn't really know, the number 1 pick, and we saw him translate that to the NFL. I think Sam Darnold is going to do wonders here for his career working under Joe Brady and Matt Rule. I think a good head coach.
I completely agree. More than 5 wins because of 2 key statistical
reasons.
Statistics. 2 key statistical stats that point to it. Last year, they were 5-11 with a minus 52 scoring differential. That's more indicative of a 6.7 win team, 6 to 7 wins. So they underperformed. Number 2, they were 3-7 in 1-score games last season. That should be closer to 500. You get a little bit of positive regression, boom, we're there. Team number 2, your team, the Los Angeles Rams. They transitioned from Jared Goff. He's out. Matthew Stafford is in. More or less than 10 wins.
So I think the defense is going to regress a little bit from a number 1 overall defense, losing Brandon Staley.
How do you maintain it?
Should still be pretty good, but the offense is going to be way more explosive under Matt Stafford than it was Jared Goff. So I go more. I think this is an 11 or 12 win team with Matt Stafford under center. Despite Brandon Staley being gone, you still have Ramsey, you still have Donald. The defense should be good, but more than 10 wins.
If I was allowed, I would pick same. I really like what this team's going to be this year. Brandon Staley leaving as defensive coordinator, a little bit of a concern. Really tough division. And that 17th game at Baltimore.
That's a tough one.
Very tough one. But this is a very good football team. I expect to see them in the playoffs. I agree with you. I can't go same. I'll go more before I'll go less. Team number 3, the Detroit Lions. From Matthew Stafford to Jared Goff. More or less than 5 wins. Expectations high in the Motor City once again.
I feel bad for Jared Goff because a lot of his career narrative is going to be validated by those people that think he was uplifted by Sean McVay. He has now gone from one of the best environments to a Sam Darnold-like, New York Jets-like environment
it's like
in
Blake
Detroit.
Griffin.
Exactly.
LA to Detroit.
Exactly. So Jared Goff is not going to be slam dunking footballs anymore over the goalpost anymore. I'm going less here because new coaching staff led by Dan Campbell, that's not necessarily an offensive guru.
Nope.
Lose Kenny Galladay. They don't have any other weapons really on offense. I'm going to say less there as they downgrade a bit at quarterback and downgrade big time overall throughout the roster.
I agree. Campbell doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. This is a team that started last year 3-3 and finished the season 2-8. Goff is certainly not an upgrade over Stafford. It's like, hey, Jared Goff, welcome to Detroit. Don't mind him. That's Kenny Galladay, your top wide receiver. He's going to New York. We didn't re-sign him. That's not going to work too well. Team number 4, the Indianapolis Colts. Moving on from Phillip Rivers, who retired, moving to Carson Wentz, who they traded for with the Philadelphia Eagles. More or less than 11 wins.
So I want to say push here because I think 11 is right on the number at 11-6. But if I'm forced to say more or less,
it's going to be weird saying 11-6,
yeah,
12-5. I already don't like it.
I'll say less. but I'm not comfortable in that. I want to say push. That's what I'm most comfortable in because bam,
the lower third is allowing you to say push.
If the lower third says it, I'll take it. Bam, push right there. A great roster, good defense led by Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner. Those great offensive line, Quentin Nelson. Good weapons for Carson Wentz, to throw to. Back reunited with Frank Reich. I think Wentz is going to look good and at least replicate what Phillip Rivers did. Yeah. Not like Rivers was like the MVP of the league. I think Wentz can get back to a Rivers level of performance, and if that's the case, I think they're about the same team as a year ago.
A Rivers runs through it. A fantastic movie. I played this team at 25-1 to win the Super Bowl. I will bet that they win more than 11 games this year. You laid out a lot of great reasons. They're great in the trenches. Elite offensive line, great defensive line. Very well coached, top 10 defense. I think Carson Wentz is a buy low candidate. Yeah, that's what it is.
Agree.
You have to sometimes find value out there. He's a broken guy. He didn't have a good offensive line. He didn't have good weapons. It had gone south in Philly. Frank Reich knows him. The guy who picked him up is the guy who knows him, won a Super Bowl with him. That's something I trust in. So I'm going to say more for the Colts. The Washington football team. From a collection of quarterbacks ranging from Dwayne Haskins to Kyle Allen to Alex Smith to Taylor Heineke and now to Ryan Fitzpatrick. More or less than 7 wins.
This was the easiest one for me to answer, and I'm going to say more. They won 7 games last year and the division with nothing at quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a massive upgrade over what they had. Curtis Samuel alongside Terry McLaurin is also a massive upgrade to that receiving core, and a full year of Antonio Gibson as the alpha running back. I think he can be 90% Christian McCaffrey. I think he can be a 3-down workhorse fantasy beast. They're going to win the division, way more than 7 wins.
Agreed. I'm going to go more as well. They started 2-7. They finished 5-2. They were strong throughout the stretch. Fitzpatrick's an upgrade. I think they're going to look at someone in the draft. I don't think they're done yet either. Second in total defense, 4th in scoring defense. These guys can play. Final team, the Chicago Bears. From Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky to Andy Dalton, it's really all the same thing, more or less than 8 wins.
Less, because I actually think they got worse in the quarterback room. I think Andy Dalton's a downgrade from Mitchell Trubisky. They didn't add anything alongside Allen Robinson. The defense is getting older. Less.
Agreed. They beat one team with a winning record last year. It was the Buccaneers. It was in Chicago early in the season on Thursday night. There was no Chris Godwin. Other than that, the Bears did nothing. They started 5-1. They closed 3-7. That concludes this edition of More or Less. All right, let's keep it cooking. Time to make some bets. After all, this show is named Bet, and we've got plenty of action taking place at Augusta, but we're going to focus on the association for tonight. 6 games, little 6-pack. We're going to ping pong back and forth. You take the odds, I take the evens. Game number 1, the Chicago Bulls laying 4, total of 217. They are at the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, I see a nice little trend there with the way the Raptors are moving, the way the Bulls have been. I'm going to play a player prop here. I'm on the Bulls side, but I feel most comfortable about this player prop. The big man, Nikola Vucevic, for the Chicago Bulls, over 21.5 points in a matchup against Toronto. Since joining the Bulls, Vucevic is averaging 22.7 points per game.
That's good.
That's over the threshold. But the matchup makes me even more comfortable. The Toronto Raptors are woefully undersized in the front court right now. They're a bad team. Vucevic has now become, more integrated into Billy Donovan's system there. So I think he's going to go over 21.5 points, something he's done, I think, in 4 of his last 6 games with the Bulls. A great matchup against a weak front court, specifically in Toronto, has me going over 21.5.
Game number 2, this is a Fortenbaugh selection. Miami laying 9, total of 205, like it's 1986. They're taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Reluctantly, I'm going to lay the 9. This is a huge number, but I like it for 2 important reasons. Number 1, Miami's off that 12-point loss to Memphis, right? So you got to get focused, you got to get right. They've been pretty good off losses this year. More importantly, this is their final home game before they embark on a 4-game road trip that's going to see them play Portland, Phoenix, and Denver. They've got some massive games coming up. They're still jockeying for playoff position. You can't let a banged-up Lakers squad come in and give you a tough time. So I like them to cover the number. They're 7th in defensive rating. And while the Lakers look good as of late, they have won 4 of 6. Look at who they beat. Orlando, Cleveland, Sacramento, Toronto. 4 of the worst teams in the NBA. Game number 3, this is going to be a good one. The Dallas Mavericks are laying 2, total of 226.5, hosting the Milwaukee Bucks.
So this one is hard to handicap right now because we still don't know about some principles and their availability for this game. Giannis is officially doubtful. I expect he doesn't play. That's okay. I think that one we're 90% sure. We're 90% sure he doesn't play. But on the Dallas side, Kristaps Porzingis usually hasn't played the second leg of a back-to-back. he is a potential rest candidate, and the same can be said for even Luka Doncic. So I right now lean towards playing the total, going over 226.5. And here are the reasons why. Even without Giannis, Milwaukee still keeps the pace up. They're third in the NBA in pace and fifth in offensive rating. Drew Holiday's been on an absolute tear, and Chris Middleton can carry on offense with his ability to score and create on his own. Milwaukee has the second best over percentage in the NBA this season because of that pace. And when Giannis is out, that lowers their defensive rating a little bit. So making it easier for that Dallas team, whether Porzingis or Doncic are in the lineup, to get their buckets. I think this should be north of 230. Even without Giannis, I think a Bucks game against an offense that's as capable as Dallas, 10th in the league in offensive rating, this should be over 230. So I see a soft kind of total here that I want to take advantage of. Again, still waiting to hear if Porzingis isn't playing, especially if Doncic isn't playing. I'd probably pass on this. But assuming at least Doncic plays and maybe Porzingis, I'm going to go over 226.5.
Dallas lost to Houston last night. You have got to figure you're going to get a good effort tonight. You have to figure you're going to get a good effort tonight. Game number 4, Utah laying 6, total of 233 against the Portland Trailblazers.
Could be a good one.
I will be taking the Blazers plus 150 to win the first quarter.
Okay.
That's going to be the play right there. I think you probably know where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
You and I got burned yesterday, although you like the Suns.
I did like
so
the
you won
Suns.
that game.
I won the Suns
But
side.
the Suns and the Jazz yesterday, we loved the under. We talked about it on Daily Wager. We were all over it. It trended so nicely, and then it went to overtime. It was the only thing that could hurt us. And even in overtime, we still had a shot at covering at 227. So here's what happens. Big fight. That's the symbol for fight, I guess, on the show.
I think you're supposed to kind of butt the fists together like
Or like
this.
that. Or like that. That's what I meant to do. The Jazz and the Suns, they go toe-to-toe. It's a marquee game. It runs very late into the night. Now you got to turn around and you got to get ready for Portland, who, oh, by the way, ranks number 1 in the association in first quarter scoring. They're also 9th in the association in first quarter scoring differential. I don't know if Portland's going to hang the whole game because Portland has a habit of playing really good teams and losing and beating up on the bad teams. But I think Portland comes out smoking tonight. I think the Jazz are a little rusty based on playing late last night. Plus 150 on the money line. Portland in the first quarter. Game number 5, another good one. The Clippers are laying 6, total of 221 against the Phoenix Suns, the winner of last night's showdown in Utah.
I mean, the Suns just keep getting disrespected by the market. At home last night, they're 2-point dogs against Utah. That made no sense to me. Even on the road, second leg of a back-to-back, coming off an overtime game at Staples Center. 6 points is too much to put in my pocket for a team that might be the best in the NBA right now. They certainly have been during the second half of the season. They have surpassed the Utah Jazz for the best ATS record in the NBA. 33-17.
It's incredible what
33-17 ATS record. The Clippers won this. They've only played one time this season. One time. Clippers won 112-107. You dig into the numbers, though. The Clippers shot 17 of 29 from 3. That is 58.6%.
It's a nice performance.
And the Suns still only lost by 5. I don't think Paul George and co. are going to shoot 58% again from downtown. So some regression there. The Suns being as hot as you know what.
A sun.
A sun works. I was going to use a part of the anatomy. But the sun works as well in the solar system because it's quite literally as hot as anything we'll ever come across in our galaxy.
I mean, it was right there for you.
Yeah,
the suns are as hot as...
I was thinking, again, something I shouldn't really say on this presentation since we're owned by Mickey Mouse. But, you know, you're right. The sun is also a good metaphor for something
it's also
that's
quite hot.
So +6. I love it. Suns plus
You're not
6.
worried at all about that game last night?
Not worried. The Suns are that good. They don't scare me.
All right, final game in the six-pack. I'm glad the way this was divided up. You got the marquee games, and I get Sacramento-Detroit. Kings -7.5. Total of 225 against the Pistons. I'm just going to play the under. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the under. You put these two together, give me the under. Detroit is 24th in offensive rating. They're 25th in scoring. They're 25th in pace. And of 51 games they've played this year, only 7 of them have had a total higher than this. Only 7. This is uncharted territory for the Detroit Pistons. Now, it's because of the opponent, obviously. Sacramento's a big-time over team. But in a matchup like this where Detroit does very little on offense, they slow down the pace as well. We're talking about getting to 225 points. I don't see it. And you know what? I won't see it because I won't watch this game either. I won't watch it. I won't do it.
He won't
I will
do
bet
it.
it, but I won't watch it. That's the end of that. NBA pick'em. 6 pick. 6 pick, 6 pack.
Pick 'em.
Either way, there's 6.
NBA Thursday.
And we're done. Now, we started this by talking about the Lakers and the Miami Heat, who are going to square off tonight in Miami. Speaking of the Lakers, a little bit of a Lakers look ahead here. Currently the 5th seed in the Western Conference. They're just 1.5 games ahead of Portland for the 6th seed. Here's the upcoming schedule, right? Take a look at this. I don't know how many games they're going to be favored in. And it doesn't mean it's a terrible schedule.
I'm going to guess 0.
0, right? I mean, the Hornets game,
maybe.
you might think.
But it's on the road.
Back-to-back. Look,
Yeah,
it's a
back-to-back on the road.
And that Celtics game is highlighted because fans will be allowed back at Staples Center.
Okay.
Not in full capacity.
Okay,
Mark. They will be allowed back. So let's start with this. Based on what I told you, they're the 5th seed right now. LeBron's still hurt. Anthony Davis is still hurt. Portland's lurking a game and a half back. What percentage chance do you see the Lakers starting the playoffs on the road, meaning 5th seed or worse?
84%.
Whoa, that's a big number.
Yeah. I don't see how they stay inside the top 4 of the Western Conference playoff picture with LeBron and AD still not close to returning by all accounts. And then this kind of brutal stretch here, I think it will be considered a win for the Lakers if they win 2 of those games.
Whew.
If you can get 2 W's in that stretch here for the kind of the next couple of weeks in April, I will consider that, a win for this stretch of schedule given the circumstances of playing these teams, really good teams, most of them on the road. And then you get the Celtics. That's probably one of the games they can win, especially if the crowd's back at Staples Center kind of jazzing them up without LeBron and AD, but then playing the Jazz twice after that. Nobody's going to beat the Jazz without LeBron and AD.
So you couldn't connect Suns and Suns, but you could connect jazzing them up in the Jazz. Nicely done.
Sometimes you're not going to go, 4 for 4 every game, Joe Fortenbaugh. All right.
It's 3 for 4.
You're going to strike out. So yeah, 84%. They are, might even go up to 90% that they are in the 5th spot or lower.
See, I had it at 60%, but you're swaying me to go higher. You really are, because this stretch is going to be terrible. I don't see them catching Denver, who's right above them.
Denver's
surging.
They are a rocket ship right now.
Hot like a sun right now. They're just hot like the sun. So they're playing well. I don't see them catching Phoenix because they're way back.
No.
Way back in the Jazz, and the Jazz are going to pick up 2 more. The Clippers would be the one where, through lackadaisical efforts here and there, maybe there's an opportunity. But the Lakers really aren't going to start winning until they get both guys back.
Hypothetical. The Clippers finish in the 4 spot, and the Lakers finish in the 5 spot. And the Lakers are actually playing that first-round series at Staples Center, although the court is painted Clipper red, white, and black.
That would be awesome. I don't know if the NBA, that would be really
Does that
great.
count, though? Does that count, though?
Yeah, you're on the road. You're on the road.
Okay.
It counts as the road.
Okay,
That's the situation.
Okay.
Jets, Giants, we all know how it plays. Question number 2. So right now, you can bet the Lakers at 18-1 to win the Pacific Division. They're a game and a half back of the Clippers, who are in second, 4.5 back of Phoenix. Would you even think about dabbling at 18-1?
I would think, but only for a second, and say, nah, not worth it. I need it.
You think about it just to say no.
Yeah, just to say no. I think about it. No, I need it to be like 40 or 50-1 at this point. With again, LeBron and AD, their return not necessarily imminent. It's burning money to me. If they were coming back sometime soon and I could get that price, okay, now we're talking. But don't see them coming back.
Even if you said they were coming back, say, next week, I still don't think I would play this.
Right.
Mainly because Phoenix is trying to win every single game. You also have to get past the Clippers. And I don't think the Lakers are going to be in this rush to win every possible game.
Yep.
They're like the Warriors from a few years back. Once you realize what it takes to get through the playoffs and win a title, you're not concerned about winning 65, 70 games in the regular season. You want to win enough to put yourself in a good position, but you want to be healthy, rested, peaking at the right time. Because a team like Phoenix, everyone thinks they're just going to flame out. See what we did there? Flame out right when they get
like
to the playoffs.
Fireball.
But I don't know. They're not getting a lot of respect, those Phoenix Suns. A team that this man on this very show proclaimed would be very good this year before the season started.
He's not going to win the MVP, but I hope people realize how valuable, despite never winning a championship, Chris Paul is to winning. The guy is one of the most underrated winners in the history of the National Basketball Association.
There's a case to be made for MVP based on what they were and what they are.
Exactly.
I think that's a very good point. Lastly, if the Lakers really do start as a 5-seed or worse and they have to go on the road in all 3 playoff series in the Western Conference, do you still see them doing it? Can they get it done to get to the finals? How confident?
Very confident.
Very confident. So this doesn't even matter.
I would, as long as LeBron and AD are healthy.
Right, of course.
That's the caveat here. I would love, and I think LeBron is going to kind of cherish it a little bit. I think, again, at this point in his career, he needs some motivation. People are going to say, oh, he missed all this time, and they're got to go on the road. They're got to go into Denver or Utah, elevation. I think LeBron, that would fuel him to be even better than he had been during this regular season and last year in the bubble.
I'm with you. As long as those guys are healthy, they're the best team. There's a reason the odds to win the title are not moving. It's not like the bookmakers just fell asleep and decided, the Lakers stink, we're not going to change the odds. No, they know who's coming back, and they know how good they'll be when they do come back. Thursday, final segment of the week. You know how we do. It's called The Good Word.
It's the good word.
We give you a statement or perhaps a run-on sentence or perhaps an abbreviated sentence. The grammar isn't important. What is important is the first word that comes to your mind when you hear this run-on sentence.
And the spelling.
And then you go ahead and you write it down on that little tablet over there. Are you ready?
Ready.
After opening at 60-1 to win the American League MVP award, Los Angeles Angels dual-threat superstar SHOHEI OHTANI is now 12-1 to win the AL MVP. Splitter.
Splitter. Why? Because if you're standing in the batter's box and Shohei throws one of his classic Vulcan change or split-finger fastballs at you, it just whoosh, plummets off the table.
It's a beautiful pitch.
Much like his MVP odds are plummeting right now from where they were prior to the season because people realize, this guy can throw a ball 102 miles an hour and turn around the next inning and hit one 450 feet over the wall.
Which he's already done.
So buy it now, because if he stays healthy, there is no chance you're going to get Shohei at this kind of value going forward. Splitter is my word.
Okay, this is going to take a little while for me because it has a little bit of a production value.
Oh, boy. Are you going to do some, Japanese type? Oh, no, you're writing in English. No, sometimes you like to mix up your languages when you write. Mr. Burns' voice. Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Is that a good Mr. Burns?
It is passable. I don't have much of a voice these days, so I'm envious of anyone that can do anything. Excellent. Why? Who told you on Daily Wager to play this guy at 20-1? This guy. Extremely thrilled that the price has already moved this far, and part of the logic was what? He's going to be a top 5 storyline all year long because his comp is Babe Ruth. The only guy that's ever done anything like this, played over 100 years ago, Babe Ruth. And you mentioned it, that inning on national TV, he threw 102 mile an hour, and then he murdered a fastball into left center field against the Chicago White Sox. Right center field, excuse me. So essentially, he's a big story. Stay healthy. This team's winning this year too.
Yeah,
Trout's outstanding. But now that they're winning, he's going to be seen as one of the key reasons why. Trout, I love you, but this guy right here, excellent. All right, clear it. Number 2, get a load of this guy. Tigers rookie AKIL BADDOO hit a home run on the first pitch of his career, hit a grand slam in the second game of his career, and had a walk-off single to beat the Twins in the third game of his career. Nice little start.
Hollywood! This is kind of an unbelievable beginning of a career that I can see Disney Plus turning into a feature film on the platform. Just don't invite Kevin Costner to be a part of the cast.
That's all I will say.
Keep Costner out of baseball movies going forward. He's already portrayed a tiger before. You don't need it again. Hollywood from AKIL BADDOO, the start of his career.
You and I are in a total Vulcan mind meld right here because my word for this was, in fact, Disney. For all the reasons you laid out. You couldn't write this better for a movie. I actually went through and watched the highlights. This kid's so excited.
Yeah, he's excited.
He was a Rule 5 pick. And he hit that walk-off single against who? The Twins, the team that drafted him in 2016.
It's a good story.
He came back to burn him early. It's a beautiful story. You don't even need to play out the rest of the season like Major League did. Just show us the first week and then the movie can end.
Boom, it's over.
Final one. If I can get my notes right. UFC 261 from Jacksonville, Florida, set to take place Saturday, April 24th, just 2 weeks from this Saturday. Jorge Masvidal is a plus 310 underdog in the main event to Kamaru Usman.
Live. As in a live dog. Masvidal, Usman, a great fighter, but Masvidal, a live dog with his ability to strike, has to play good defense against Usman inside the octagon, but if he can land a strike, he can win.
I am on the opposite side. I am going to say the word for this is narrative, because the narrative you're going to hear going in is going to go back to last July's fight between these two. When Masvidal took the fight on 6 days' notice, flew from Miami to Las Vegas, got all of his COVID testing, then flew halfway around the world to Abu Dhabi and went the distance, all while losing 20 pounds in 6 days. He went the distance. Everyone's going to say, well, if that's what he could do then, what's he going to do now? Usman's the truth. He's legit.
Yeah,
as great as the Masvidal story is, and as much of a fighting chance as he'll give you, Usman can't be beat right now. He's on top of his game.
How's your Masters card looking after the first half of the first round?
I'm okay. My head's above water. Okay. I'm tentative. Tyler Fulghum, Joe Fortenbaugh. How's your card looking?
Drowning.
We're all out of time. Have a great night.